Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back, or if you're new to the channel, what's up? My name's Boba Fetty Wap, and I'll be going over how I would have done Disney's sequel Star Wars trilogy. Now, I will be starting with Star Wars The Last Jedi. This one's going to be a bit more time-consuming than the last one. Once again, I apologize for the format, but I'm uploading it from my TikTok page. The Last Jedi is my least favorite Star Wars movie, for a couple reasons. The director, Rian Johnson, tried way too hard to make a political statement more than a Star Wars movie, so I'll be fixing that. And the whole pink-haired lesbian bookstore owner Holdo will not take charge, and Rose won't be going with Finn to the casino planet. To start off, the whole Kylo and Rey Force FaceTime thing is great and fantastic and will take place throughout the movie. The movie will start off with Rey on Ahch-To, with Rey giving Luke the saber, and instead of throwing it behind him, which is very out of place for his character, Luke tells Rey to leave, as being close to him will only put her in danger. Her claiming that she feels the good in Kylo will bring Luke to decide maybe he should teach her, as it reminds him of how he once sensed the good in his father. The lessons will be the same, except no Islanders, they were stupid and only there for comedic effect, and ruined the whole idea of Luke being in isolation. Rey asks early on what Luke's coolest Jedi trick is, but Luke scoffs and mocks her. Okay, you learn that Luke was in exile meditating and training to confront Kylo again and win. You learn that the only reason Kylo ever turned to the dark side is because Luke tried to use a Jedi mind trick to suppress Kylo's darkness, but Kylo sensed it and then turned to the dark side in anger against Luke. Because Luke would never try to kill someone like that, especially his best friend and sister's kid. Okay, now to the Resistance stuff. Dreadnought shows up and Poe does the same maneuver to disable the turrets. That was pretty sick. Then the bombers come in and have to blow up, this time 3 different spots, in order to destroy the Dreadnought. I'm tired of seeing stuff in Star Wars blow up because they were only hitting one particular spot. The Resistance win, light speed away, and Poe still gets demoted and told how he doesn't think enough in combat. Cut to Snoke's throne room. Snoke still roasts Kylo and then proceeds to force pick up Kylo Ren's mask, bring it to him, and force break it in front of him, saying how he's trying too hard to be like Vader. This sets up stuff for later. The Final Order shows up and surrounds the Resistance ship with about 5 Star Destroyers, since the Final Order are basically space terrorists and don't have a lot of resources. Also, Snoke's ship is not the giant unnecessary triangle. It's just a black Final Order Star Destroyer. The Resistance is confused, but Finn remarks how the Final Order was experimenting with lightspeed tracking when he was a trooper, but that they proved it was impossible. Which it is. But, sadly, not according to Disney. Anyway, Snoke then sends Kylo with the Knights of Ren to disable the Resistance ship's turrets and to retrieve hostages from the ship for his plan. The Resistance try and close the hangar doors, but they cannot for some reason. Kylo and his Knights do not blow up the bridge so Leia doesn't do her stupid Mary Poppins thing, and then the Knights and Kylo land in the hangar. So Kylo and the Knights of Ren go on a full-on brawl through the entire Resistance ship hangar to the bridge, with awesome action sequences showing off their different abilities and weapons, finally giving them the hype we wanted to see since their tease in The Force Awakens. Throughout this though, the Knights jab at Kylo on how he is weaker and not truly committed to the dark side, which only pushes him to try and be more ruthless in battle. They get to the bridge and take Finn and Leia as hostages back to Snoke's ship, as those two are the two closest to Rey and Luke. Kylo then force FaceTimes Rey and tells her how he has Finn and Leia, and she must give herself and Luke up or they die. Luke mentions how this Force connection sounds similar to an old Jedi rumor of something called a dyad. Rey and Luke then leave in the Falcon with Chewie and R2 to confront the Final Order. Luke drops Rey off at Snoke's ship and then flies off in the Falcon with Chewie, saying he has a plan. This leads up to identical Snoke throne room scene where Snoke dies with all his red guards in that super cool fight scene. Rey and Kylo similarly break Anakin's saber at the end, except each take a half. This sets up something for later. As Rey is leaving, Kylo screams how he deserves the saber, but Rey replies, no, Kylo Ren doesn't, but Ben Solo does. Now, with Leia and Finn held hostage on Snoke's ship, Poe is left in charge on the Resistance ship. He decides to fly the MC-85 cruiser straight into Snoke's ship, Holdo style, except it looks more like this than a clean cut. Finn, using his previous Final Order stormtrooper knowledge, breaks Leia and himself out of the Final Order jail cell. Poe then leads all the Resistance troops out of the Resistance ship and into Snoke's ship through the wreckage. Alright, so Finn and Leia and Poe and all the Resistance troops meet up somewhere in Snoke's ship, and now Poe, being in charge, decides to do the mature thing and decides to take over Snoke's ship and land it on Crate, a nearby planet that Luke Skywalker had hologrammed them earlier and told them, hey, come here for help. Finn then helps them navigate the ship using his Final Order knowledge till they get to the bridge, but they run into the Knights of Ren, Captain Phasma, and Final Order troops. "How did they know we were coming?" Poe exclaims. Rose then steps forward and announces herself as traitor, something we all expected in Episode 8. This is how the Final Order knew where the Resistance ship was, why the hangar doors were open for the easy entry, and why the Final Order knew they'd be coming for the bridge. Poe then decides, man, screw that whole thinking this plan out, I'm just gonna blast my way out of it, and then the bridge erupts in chaos. On the bridge, it will be an epic fight to show off secondary characters on both sides and what they're capable of. Poe will be using like walls to ricochet bullets to hit troopers, and Finn will be going ham with the Final Order stun baton. Rey will show up halfway through and basically turn the tide and only fight using force powers, a style that hasn't been explored in movies, with a little force lightning between her fingers to, forewarn some stuff. All the Knights of Ren will be killed, but Finn decides to spare Phasma's life, and she runs away claiming how that's not what she was taught in the Final Order. Rose also escapes. The Resistance then gets control of the bridge. Meanwhile, Hux walks into Snoke's throne room where Kylo then tells Hux to get Phasma and to prepare a ship for evacuation. Hux questions if Kylo is in charge, but Kylo Ren states that he is now Supreme Leader as he killed Snoke. He then proceeds to force rebuild his helmet that was broken on the floor. So Ren, Hux, Phasma, and the other Final Order troops evacuate Snoke's ship. Okay, so now the Resistance are in charge of the half Snoke, half Resistance ship, and they try to land it on Crate, next to the Rebel base that Luke told them to come to. As the Resistance run from the crash to the Rebel base, Final Order TIE fighters come in and try and stop them. But Finn uses the remaining turrets on the Star Destroyer to gun down those TIEs, so all the remaining Resistance troops can get inside the hangar. Finn then must run from the wreckage to the hangar, but a TIE fighter appears about to blast him. Luckily, Rey jumps out and uses Force Lightning and destroys the last TIE fighter midair. She passes out on spot, and Finn has to carry her into the Rebel base on Crate, just as the doors are closing. They determine that she is alive, but just unconscious. Hux, aboard Kylo's flagship with Kylo Ren, then yells at some troopers to bring out the battering ram. The Final Order brings out a prototype Death Star battering ram that Finn states was never put in use but has the potential to break open the hangar doors. The battle on Crate then takes place similarly to the original movie, with the cool speeders, gorilla AT-ATs, and red dust, except Finn actually does sacrifice himself and flies straight into the battering ram, lasers ablazing. Cut to in the battering ram, Finn crashed, but he is alive and very injured, and wakes up to Rose pointing a pistol at him. She calls him a traitor, but Finn says he was only a traitor to humanity when he did what the Final Order wanted. Rose then swears off the Final Order and mentions, "No wonder why you caused so many troopers to leave us. You're a real inspiration." She then shoots some part of the battering ram interior, and both her and Finn die in the destruction of the battering ram. Kylo Ren then proceeds to enter the Rebel base on foot with some troopers using an alternative underground route, as Luke ushers the Resistance to go to the Falcon as he has a plan. Kylo Ren enters the base and comes face to face with his old master. Kylo then taunts Luke, saying how Luke is the Last Jedi, as Rey is too dark to ever become a Jedi. Luke rejects this idea and says how Kylo could come back to the light side and become a Jedi again. Kylo then attacks. This time, Luke's saber is green, as is not the saber that Kylo literally broke 5 minutes ago. Kylo and Luke then face off and actually collide blades and have a pretty cool duel using the elements of the base around them. Finally, Kylo strikes Luke and has a momentary look of regret, then realizes Luke isn't dead. Luke then comments on how Rey was right and how there still is good in Kylo, otherwise he wouldn't have had a moment of regret. Luke then vanishes as his lightsaber hovers midair. The saber then flies and we follow it as it goes down a tunnel and into the Falcon and into meditating Luke's hands. Basically a force projection, except force levitating a lightsaber as well to appear as if he was holding it. Now that's a cool Jedi trick, Luke says to himself. The remaining Resistance troops fly off the Millennium Falcon through an opening at the top of the cave as Kylo watches and screams in rage, which causes the red crystal walls to shake and some crystals even break off and levitate. This shows Kylo Ren's power while also letting him rage quit one more time. The movie ends in with Kylo going to Snoke's lair on like some dark planet and using Snoke's black kyber crystal ring to open a door to reveal a chamber where a holocron of Palpatine turns on and tells Kylo to meet him on Exegol. Boom. Movie ends. Exactly as it should have. Teasing Palpatine's survival. So basically My Last Jedi ends with Finn and the Knights of Ren dead, but Luke and Phasma are still alive. Please like and so while keeping most of the Last Jedi story similar, I showed how some elements could easily be changed to make it a much more enjoyable movie and making other characters much more usable. Like and subscribe so you can stay up to date for my Rise of Skywalker updates.